Dave, do you have an update on Perlini? I know he skated off during the practice there.
No, I haven't seen him yet.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
He skated up. He was hobbling, but I think he was fine in there. I haven't seen him yet, though.
Okay. Dave, I have a question about a significant ceremony happening tonight in the NHL. Ruiz, number 22, is going up in the Raptors in Boston. Can you talk about the significance of that ceremony?
Well, it's the evolution of our game, right? Where it's come since Willie, it's incredible. Incredible. The acceptance and just, it's made our game better. Everything. So credit to him. It's a credit to Boston for bringing it to the forefront. It's excellent. Great for our game.
Have you ever had the pleasure of meeting?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. Thanks.
Dave, no Turris and no Holloway. Can you give us an update on Holloway, who was going to be getting his hand checked out to see if he could play?
Yeah, he did that. I think he's close to getting cleared, but both their numbers, their COVID numbers, are not where they need to be with the group yet.
Okay, more battle drill today. Just a different sort of battle drill. You still want to see that in your game?
Yeah, we practiced hard again today. Our guys are in good spirits. Lots of talk out there. We're trying to work on our game. That's what it is. It's a good practice.
And there's lots of things to point to when you only win 2 of 14. Is there one overriding theme in your mind as to why, or something that has to change?
Can't find a way to win. We got to find a way to win. That's simple as that. Whether that's scoring on special teams or scoring on a power play, taking a penalty kill away, or getting through a penalty kill, not taking a penalty, getting a save, eliminate a turnover. There's lots, Jim. You can't put it. There's not one thing.
Do players like Leon and Connor and Darnell, when you're losing, are they trying to do more than they can to try to get?
Everybody's trying to help. When you're not winning, everybody's trying to do their part. Those guys, it's obvious those guys have significant roles on our team, so they're trying to help just like everybody else.
And Leon showed his frustration the other night against Ottawa. Do you want to see that on the ice where the other team can see how frustrated he is?
I didn't see him showing the frustration. When was he showing frustration? Give me the time. And
when he gave the puck away at the blue line, opposing blue line several times, the puck went back the other way, and he looked like, oh man, I'm trying to make stuff happen, and it was going the other way.
I didn't see that problem, so I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, a guy like Brennan Perlini, you have him. He looks like he's skating with McDavid. During this funk, he missed a little bit of COVID, but do you need to find ways to get him more ice time? Because he's a guy who just, for whatever reason, he finds ways to score.
He does. One of his assets is he shoots the puck in the net at a higher rate than a lot of other people. And you see it in practice and you see it in games. The one thing, his play without the puck and away from the puck has to continue to be really consistent. So, we've gone through some different stages of COVID here with guys in and out, and there's times when, you'd like to give them a little more push ahead, and then there's other times you're just looking for rhythm in a game, depending on what's happening in a game. But he's, when he's been given the opportunity, he tries his best and tries to make sure he's bringing the best attributes he can to the game, and that's why we're going to give him a try up there.
You can't fix everything at once, and you can't you can't change the past. So as a coach now, when you move forward, how do you balance focusing on what hasn't been working, but trying to ignore it at the same time so it doesn't overwhelm players?
Well, you got to work on stuff, and we work on stuff all year. When you're going good, you work on stuff, and when you're struggling a little bit. So, like right now, we think we really can dig into the defensive part of our game. There's some things that we can do better. As of yesterday, you guys were all talking about harder to play against. Harder to play against is checking tight. It's being a tight team together. So there's some things like that we're focusing on right now. We want to be a tighter team to play. If we play better in front of our goaltenders have a better chance to play well. It's a better team effort. So there's some things we've talked about for a couple of days during this break that we have to continue to push to make our team as good as we can be. And if we look at it as you start playing better, some of the breaks that we think have gone against us, they'll start going our way. So you got to keep pounding away. You can't just wallow. I know the media likes us to wallow, but you just can't wallow all the time. We got to try to get better. We got to drag each other out of it. And that's why we've had 2 good practices. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, just for the record, I'm a pretty positive guy.
I know you,
Wallow.
Gregor. Gregor, I'll exempt you from the
Yeah.
wallow crap.
Okay. The penalty kill is, it's still, like, since you've been here, it's 5th best over 2.5 years. It's very good. It's in a real funk right now. So when you try to drill down on one specific element, what are you seeing? Is it unlucky? Is it, Darnell said it's a game of inches, and I get that. So how do you ensure that the game of inches becomes maybe a game of millimeter?
Well, you obviously dig into tactically what you're doing. There's some things that I think a little bit like the rest of our game have been a little inconsistent. And I'll give you the first goal against the other night, our arriving in D zone, we want to arrive a certain way, right? And there's a certain pressure points we want to get to. Well, on the first goal against, we didn't do it. We were hesitant, right? The second period, the same people exactly, the arrive in D zone is done exactly right, and nothing comes out of it. You know, so there's some things like that that you dig into with your penalty kill. Now that being said, there's a desperation that comes into it. There's a shot block here or there, or we're still pretty good at taking care of cross ice lanes. That's a focal point of ours. If you look at the sport logic stuff, we're still a good team in that area. But then the other part of it is you don't get a shot block, we need some saves. Your penalty killing needs some saves also. So all of them come together. It's like our game. There's parts of our game that defensively can improve, and there's block shots that you can find a way to block them, and there's saves that can be made. It's a team game, but all that goals against, and penalty killing is really about goals against because you're at a disadvantage. All those things got to be done to the best of your ability to give you the best chance of not getting scored on. And a little bit of inconsistency, just like the rest of our game, defending, has bit us too many times.
Brennan Perlini sat up there yesterday, and he seems like a pretty big picture guy, a positive outlook. He's talked about his career path. As a coach, communication, it always comes down. There's not many different systems in the NHL. It's not like there's 50 different system teams play. So the communication factor, I would sense your team, because of how you started, how you've been last year, there's a high expectation. And right now, the frustration level might be even higher because they feel like, like if they were a bad team, you might not be as frustrated when you're losing because you just know you're not good. How do you massage the personality, the human side of it, to ensure that your guys, don't get too frustrated, or when something goes wrong, it doesn't become an instant mountain?
Well, there's a couple things. One is, and we've spent the last couple of days doing that. I mean, putting the big picture in place, where we are, what we have to do, games left, our schedule, all those. Like you got to build a playbook in front of them that they understand and they can live with, or they can recognize. The second part of it, there's parts of your game that you have to go through, and like, here's parts that we can improve to give ourselves a better chance. And sometimes when you're winning, there's a lot of those things get overlooked. This is not overlooked. You're still doing them, but you just don't do them with the same. You don't look at them with the same intensity. So now you have to recognize, here's things we're going to do to improve our game. So you get thinking about the improvement, not what's happening, right? So you got to build confidence back. On the other side, we always talk about confidence is earned. Confidence is earned by wins. But if you look at some of the things that we're really working hard to dive into now, I think they could benefit us even more once we get it turned. So it is a fine line. You're trying to encourage people, but recognize the situation that we have to be better in a lot of situations.
Dave, Laguson's on waivers. Obviously, that means Russell's ready to play. What have you missed not having Chris Russell?
Well, he's a veteran guy that understands the game, manages the game very well. Obviously, being the #1 shot blocker in the history of the league, he's willing to block a lot of shots. Is a real good penalty killer for us. So there's some things like that. He's worked hard to try to get back up into game shape here, and I think he's there. I just found out when we come off the ice that Laggy was going on waivers, so I have to make a spot for him. But as of right now, it looks like he'd be ready for us Thursday night if we need him.
Can the Florida Panthers coming in here be a good thing for your team? They're playing so well, scoring a pile of goals, but your team's got to show that battle level, even more so against a team that's really rolling.
No, I think we got to show it against everybody. You recognize, you always talk about your competition coming in. They're scoring a bunch of goals right now, but for us, it's about what we're doing. We got to make sure our game is dialed in as much as we can. Whether it doesn't matter if we're playing Florida or Calgary, whoever's up. I mean, it's the next team up for us, and you recognize their strengths and weaknesses, and we got to get our team in order.
Thank you.
Dave, in terms of handling the peaks and valleys of a long season, how have you evolved from a young player to a less experienced coach to now?
I think you go through different experiences as you go through, and you recognize different times. Like the coaches and I, we've been talking every day about different situations we've all been in and recognize what's going on. And I think just what Gregor's talking about there, you recognize those things and you try to apply them. And what worked in the past with somebody, if we were in a funk, what worked in the past, what do we got to do? You understand the mentality of the players, how you're going to keep them up, but also keep them accountable. I mean, there's all those elements of experience that come into play that I think are very valuable in times like these.
Emotionally, were you ever more volatile as a player, a less experienced coach, or have you always kind of tried to keep everything in perspective?
I've always been pretty even keel,
Yeah.
up and down. You're gonna, if you get on the roller coaster, you don't want your players on the roller coaster. So if the coaching staff's on the roller coaster, it's not helping anybody.